Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon for those who are coming from different places around the world. Okay, this is your chairman of the UCSSC welcoming you in the 2026, and we are thankful for the consistent attendees. We would like to persuade most of the coaches to upgrade themselves for the latest of coaching uh, knowledge that you can get coming from the UCSSC. The speakers coming from different countries, most of them are actually national coaches. We would like to ask you to at least spend about 1 hour to attend the UCSSC Sports Coaching Education. Thank you.
So we're going to have a presentation in about an hour about water safety and first aid. So let's spend just a minute. I hope you're all subscribed to the podcast called Heavy or Not. We'll do 60 seconds of this, and then we're going to rerun a recent presentation from Rich Rogers. Very valuable information for coaches. But first, enjoy this, just 60 seconds.
Your swim pool, and our worries and experiences blend in some weather-resistant insights in the podcast from Coach Mark and friends with the International Swim Coaches Association called Heavy or Not, the OG Swim Guide. Subscribe and go the next step and answer the call to contribute your rants for an upcoming jump cut. Season 1 is pushing for 50 episodes. Did someone say 50-meter pentathlon races?
Now, a rerun of a seminar presented from Rich Rogers.
Welcome to the presentation by Rich Rogers. He's a coach in Florida who is going to talk about periodization and the science of structuring a successful season. He'll also be talking about the super sport systems as a software package.
Hi, guys, everybody. Happy New Year. I hope you're all doing well. Sorry to hear about any terrible weather and situations. Thoughts and prayers go out to everyone that's affected. Well, I'd love to start out by saying that sharing what you know is a privilege, and I appreciate the opportunity to do this. And anything that I can do to help in the future, feel free to reach out to me. My contact information will be there. If I need to explain anything to you on a personal level, I'm always available to do that as well. Basically, what we're going to talk about today is not just classical periodization, but more the application of how do you take the science of swimming and put it into play on an everyday basis, and making sure that we take a look at the tools and situations that we can utilize to make that happen. The science of a successful season, okay? How modern periodization turns planning into performance. Basically, what we're going to talk about today is how do you take a swimmer from point A and get them to point B? And what are some of the tools that you can utilize to make sure that we do that? So we're looking at the principles of biological adaptation in season design. Now, I'm not going to read through everything step by step because I know that you have relative intelligence and you guys can take a look at this as well. But we have to make sure that when we're doing this, that we have priority and sequencing involved. A lot of times when people are dealing with seasonal design, they're kind of taking some test sets or what they did last year and trying to make sure that they use that information. And basically, modern periodization looks at the body, where it is, where we're trying to go, and then creates a pathway to go from that point A to point B. And we'll be looking at some of the ways that we can do that. One of the other things that's really important when you're talking about this is, how do you describe energy zones, and how do you make sure that everybody is on the same page? A lot of times when I speak with coaches, or if I speak with individual swimmers, the coach may say A, the swimmer interprets it as B, the coach sees C, and then they both describe it as D at the end. So making sure that you're very precise in the definition of what your energy zone is, and what are the parameters for you to utilize those energy zones in terms of length of time, duration, intensity. Those are all crucial factors in making sure that you're not having a guesswork from going to your daily planning to the end of the season. So defining those energy zones and making sure that everybody's on the same page is a crucial part of what you're going to be doing in an effective seasonal design. When you're looking at the progression as well, you're really looking at that start of the season through that targeted championship meet. And what you're trying to do then is create basically a pathway for each one of the energy zones on when do you hit those energy zones, at what level, and how do you take that distribution curve over the course of the season so you're maximizing the return on the effort that you put in. So if you think about it, the way that I like to talk to my swimmers when I'm doing this is basically, if we use the 5 Russian energy zone system, and there's subzones inside there, so you have 9 of them. So basically, in a very simplistic way, if the body has 9 gas tanks that you have to fill up from the beginning of the season to the end, at what point in time do you fill up each one of those individual gas tanks to make sure that at the end of the season you have everything that you need and all the fuel that you need inside of your body from a physiological standpoint to give yourself the best opportunity for success? So that is the overall big arc, as I have it over here, or the bird's eye view of how you're looking at your season to make sure that you have the progression in the right sense. And again, what we're looking at there is, once we have this whole season taking from point A to point B and then all the way to Z at the end, how do you break that up from a load distribution standpoint per week? And when you're doing that, you also then have to take a look at the days of the week and how each one of these energy zones interacts with another one. Sometimes energy zones can bleed into each other. So taking a really focused look at how do you make day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, and how do you load each one of those energy zones so you get the maximum amount of adaptation and also the maximum rest that you need for the following day for that adaptation to occur. So even if you take a look at this 1 week cycle that we have right here, each one of those different colors, really we're looking at a different energy zone and a different load for that specific day. And you can notice from this is, I believe, like a week 9 in the middle of a 16-week season. There's basically a microcycle for 3 days. You can see that Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday are similar to Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So that gives you the opportunity to have the load that you need for each one of those energy zones without bleeding in the next day into the same energy zone and not giving that other system or that gas tank basically the opportunity to rest and grow. One of the other things that's really important is utilizing parametric training within each one of the seasons. Parametric training is very adaptable. It's something that is a concept that the swimmers really can appreciate, and it gives you basically the opportunity to increase adaptation by changing one parameter over time. So for example, if we're looking at, we want to increase basic endurance, and we're looking at starting at week 1 of a parametric set that might last for 8 weeks, starting out with 6 100s on 130, and then by the end of the process we might be going to 16 100s. Basically what we're trying to do is increase the number of repetitions that we can do holding the same time or better with about the same rest. So that way the capacity then changes. And over that period of time, that one parameter has helped mold the athlete into a more efficient swimmer. A lot of this also comes down to, how do we take all this stuff? How do we take the seasonal plan? How do we take the weekly load? How do we take the daily load? And how do we make sure that we put all these things into play? So this is just a basic snapshot of something that we do. And we're going to go into the application of how these things work in a moment. But I just wanted to give you a brief overview of where we are. One thing that I love about a scientific approach to seasonal training design is that it really helps create a culture and really helps create personal responsibility about what you're trying to do. If you design your season where energy zones have specific times that the swimmer has to hold over a course of a week, and then those times change as the progression curve changes over the course of time, it gives them that target that they need where every set becomes a test set. So you're not dealing with just a simple test set and then swimmers doing whatever they want to do. Every time they push off the wall becomes a test set because they're trying to hold that prescribed time. And over time, when they buy into this type of a concept, they understand the efficiency and the value of everything that they do when they push off the wall. So this is not just an educational component for the swim coaches to understand all these different levels. It's a communication tool for you to deal with your athletes and tell them, look, we're not just going to get in here and swim hard. And we all appreciate when swimmers swim hard, but we're going to swim strategically. We're going to understand what we're doing each time we push off the wall. And we're going to then focus in on what you individually have to do to make sure that you have that accountability and you have success at this end of the season. Okay. I'm going to go through this. I threw a bunch of stuff out there. I would love for you to see how the season is structured, how we do this, but also I just want you to realize that too many times in our environments as coaches, we have lost the ability to help every individual within a group because it's very, very difficult to have targeted times for everyone. It's hard to have targeted times for everyone when you're dealing with individuals. So what this system does, it allows you to set up group structures and then have times for everyone in the group itself. Okay, what I described was a big overview of a system that was developed by Dr. Sergey Belev of Supersport Systems. I had the pleasure of meeting with him in the early 2000s when he was here and had the accumulated knowledge of the former Soviet Union in terms of their training process, their training optimization process. And over the course of a couple of decades, he's refined what he's done and how he does it and how he offers it to coaches. It's a system that is really designed to help coaches give super specific workouts for individuals in groups and individuals within groups over time. So I'm going to give you a brief overview of how this works, to show you how powerful it is. And I have no financial stake in any of this. I just want to make sure that people understand that there is a tool out there that can help you go from where you want to be to where you want to go just by following some simple guidance, and know that the science behind it is real. Right here, right now, I just set up one swimmer, and this swimmer basically just finished in the short course yards at 2:02:39 for his 200 breaststroke. And he's 15 years of age. We're going to target a result at the ISCA Senior Cup, just under 2 minutes, which is a 1.96 progression rate over the course of 13 weeks. So basically, he's dropped an amazing amount of time. For example, in the 200 breaststroke, let's say he's gone from 210 to 202 in a season. And so these types of progression rates are not unusual when you're dealing with the 3S suite of tools. So right now, what I'm going to do is go to the season setting. You can see that I put in his information, where we are, where we want to be. I can go into the second profile and put in his exact times that we're going to need. And then if I go into the seasonal planning tool, what this does is it says, okay, if you're starting your season on 12/15 and we're going to end it at the ISCA Senior Cup in March, these are the weeks that we're going to go. And it breaks it up into the 4 phases that 3S utilizes. You have the pull-in phase, the accumulation phase, the realization phase, and the taper phase. This big black line right here basically shows you the accumulated yardage that you're going to have over the course of each one of these weeks. This is yardage, this is time. So we're starting out with a low amount of yardage, we're pulling in, and then we're building up during the accumulation phase. The realization phase, it goes down because intensity goes up, rest goes up, and then we have our taper at the end. And this is not warm up, warm down, or recovery. And these are the individual energy zones underneath. And you can see how during the course of the season, each one of the energy zones is targeted at a different amount at a different time. So what you're getting here is based on a progression curve of where the season starts, where you want them to be. You can see right here around week number 8, he'd be at his season best time, and then going through on the progression curve. This progression curve also allows us to determine what percentage of speed the athlete will be doing for each one of the energy zones over the course of that week. So the times and the paces for your energy zone prescriptions change over time dynamically with the progression curve for that athlete for that particular season. And all this is done behind the scenes. It's important to know what it does, but even if you're not sure how this works, it does this for you. Now, you can adjust the training strategy from sprint, mid-distance, distance. If you're really experienced with how you want to move these, you can actually go ahead and edit what we're doing. Let's just say for this particular athlete, I know that I want to do 9% of zone 3. I can save that. Everything will get dynamically adjusted. It'll take away from the 1B. And just so we're all clear, 1B is the smoothest of the energy zones, and 5A is the fastest of the energy zones. And if I go back over here now, we can take a look at those zones a little more clearly than in that presentation. This is basically the definition of each one of these energy zones. And this is a zone description. This is the time limits of each of those in terms of work. And you can see that in each one of them, they change. This is important because when a lot of times when coaches are designing sets, they design the sets sometimes outside of the energy zone's parameters. And that makes a difference because if you're going, let's say, 20 minutes of work and you think you're doing 1B, the body really can't sustain that over time, and you're really going into zone 2. So it's important when you're designing these sets that you have these time limits in mind, understanding what it is. A 3S will take your workout. It will give you the time that you need to hold in order to stay within that energy zone for that specific stroke, for that specific week. So all these things get taken into account. It gives the athletes basically a targeted for each one, a targeted set and what they would really like to do for each time they push off the wall for every set. Let's going back to the season. Right here in planning. So we have this season right now, and for this particular athlete, he's in week number 3, just starting the accumulation phase. So what we're going to do is look at the week density. How does 3S and how would a coach take these specific numbers and break them up throughout the course of the week? So I'm going to go in here into the weekly density. So as you can tell, we're in week number 3, and there's not that much diversity of energy zones, because if I go back to week 2, for example, you're going to see it's all 1A and 1B. So we're just doing a pull-in. We're getting the season done. We just had Winter Juniors, took a transition week, getting back in the water, and we're trying to create that aerobic base. One of the things that I've spoken to coaches about that's really difficult is holding the swimmers back. A lot of times they've just finished a successful meet. They're pumped. They want to go. And it's not the time to jump into those higher energy zones. If they go into those higher energy zones too early, let's just say your body has the ability to go 8 weeks or so at that type of intensity. If you do it too soon, you're going to lose that aerobic base, and you might get some good mid-season results, but then you're going to have fatigue, a little bit of overtraining at the end, and the swimmer will be flat. So it's important to take a look at where you are in the season and make sure that you adjust that. And one of the ways that I challenge the athletes when we're in these 2 or 3 weeks where it's a lot of 1A and 1B is this is a point in time where you're thinking about distance per stroke, you're thinking about not breathing in and out of the walls, you're thinking about your underwaters, you're slowing things down, you're really focusing in on the technique, making sure that they can hold these times with perfect technique. So that way, as the season progresses and the energy zones get more intense, they're holding the technique that they garnered through the early seasons when the higher energy zones hits. So we took a look at week number 3, and you'll see that's when we introduced parametric as well. So for this particular athlete, the parametric set is starting out at 6 100s. And there's also another parametric set for 4 200s on Saturday. Let's go to week number 9. So week 9 is pretty intense. All right, so you can see that we're already up to 13 100s and 9 200s. You can also see that we're dealing with zone 2, zone 5, zone 3 on different days. And the intensity level is absolutely high. This is when the art of coaching comes into place. How do you prescribe sets for these different athletes to make sure that they have the ability to sustain the times that they're supposed to do, and you're presenting in such a fashion that they can intellectually and physically handle it? If I go into workouts, there is a workout generator inside of 3S. But what I try to do is create my own. And in doing that, I go into expert mode. And just for example, if I wanted to just show you how this works in terms of prescription. All right, so we are in week number 9. We're looking at an athlete. We're going to pretend that he warms up. I'm going to go in here, and let's say we're going to do a set in aerobic power. And we are going to do, say, 2450s. And let's do it breaststroke. Oh, that'd be horrible. We'll keep with freestyle. 15 seconds rest, and we're going to apply this. So what we're looking at here, okay, is the time that he needs to hold is 23.87, getting about 15 seconds rest. Okay, this is the zone that he's going into, zone 3A, excuse me, for freestyle. This time is relevant to week number 9 inside of this season that we set up. And if we go to a different week, we're going to get a different time based on the progression curve. What this does, it allows you as a coach to prescribe exact, pinpoint, accurate send-off keep times for each one of your athletes. Now, the thing that I haven't shown, because this is an individual athlete, is inside this program, you can also set up groups. So if this gentleman had 7 other people in his training group that were similar, that were going for the same type of event, then we could put them in, put their best times. And then if I go ahead and I do 2450s, one might be 2387, one might be 242, one might be 244. And each person gets an individualized time based on their specific needs for that day or that week inside of that season. So the power of doing this on a global scale for your athletes and giving them the individualized attention that they need to get their times is amazing. What this does in terms of communication, in terms of education, in terms of culture, in terms of responsibility is amazing. And once you get buy-in from the swimmers, from the parents, from the coaching staff, and everybody understands that, I call it the 11th commandment, know thy time, hold thy time. And by doing that, you're going to see amazing results at the end of the season. I've been fortunate to utilize this with many athletes, and there's so many times where I can say the goal time that we've had has been within tenths or even less than what we put in at the beginning of the season. How you put in a goal time at the end is also very important. You cannot just take somebody and say, hey, you go 25, we're going to have you go 19. You have to obviously know what the progression rate is for that athlete, where they are in terms of their technical expertise and more. And basically, you have the framework that you need from a seasonal standpoint, from a weekly load standpoint, to a daily standpoint, to a set standpoint, to an individualized send-off standpoint, to give the precise prescriptions for what each athlete needs for every set, every day, to make sure that they have the opportunity to get to the promised land at the end of the season. So I'd love to open it up to anybody that has questions about how this works, how to utilize it in a program, or questions specifically about seasonal design in general.
So test sets are, important. They're not just some ornaments you hang out on a Christmas tree, right? You give me a little more of the framework for your favorite test sets and how they integrate into your season.
Well, there is a test set module inside of 3S, and you can go ahead and do that. But to be completely frank, I think I said it earlier, every set is a test set. And what's great about this system is that from day one, set one, to the last day prior, you have an absolute arc and a pinpoint accuracy of what you need to do. So you're holding that. A lot of times what people do when they're designing seasons, let's just say they do a T30 or a T40 or, a test set, and they're trying to then say, okay, we're going to use this information to see where we want to be in the future. So basically you're taking the present state and you're then trying to make the future out of it. What this does is it starts at the end and says, okay, I want to go 159.9. What do I have to hold physiologically to start myself from 202 to 159? And each one of these sets then becomes, in essence, a test set. So you're not just saying, okay, I'm going to predict based on a test. I've already done the prediction. It's 159.9. Now I've back-ended it, and each one of these is going to be the stepping stone to get me from A to Z.
Okay, then how many events do you strategize about? When your swimmer goes to the Senior Cup, and it's awesome to be mentioning that they're going to be doing more than just a 200 breast. So
Absolutely.
How do you stage those other events within the structure?
Okay, so what I try to do for all my swimmers that are 14 and under is everybody's a distance swimmer and everybody's a 400 IM. And basically what I'm doing at that point is I'm increasing their aerobic capacity from a young age, making sure that they're equally adept to their physical ability at every stroke, and we're focusing in on the IM, and then the other strokes fall into place. As somebody becomes more adept and they become a senior, I'm looking at, one or two events, but I might be focusing more on the 200 breaststroke. But during the course of the season, I'm also adding in sets that incorporate everything. So it's not like I'm writing a set that's everything is freestyle, breaststroke. It's going to be a complete ratio of what I'm going to need. And basically for this swimmer, who's also a 400 IMer, what a surprise, because now he's 15 and he's coming out of that model that we just did. Actually, he dropped significantly. I think he went 356 in his 400 IM Winter Juniors as a 15-year-old. And really what you're looking at is, okay, if you're a mid-distance person and you're training in this set, you might not be the 50 guy that you would have been had we set up the season to have a different ratio of zone 4, 5, and 3 versus zones 1, 2, and 3. So you really can't have 12 masters as you get older in the sport. You have to look at the body as what it is. A 8-cylinder BMW is going to run differently than a Prius.
Give us a little more context about the team. Who's in the water for you these days? How's your program structured? You share if you want to, on the type of kid or, your community.
Sure.
I would love to get some understanding of what's going on in Florida with you these days.
Okay, these days the team is 2.5 years old, and it basically started from scratch at Florida Atlantic University. And we had a few kids that came in. I came down a couple of months after they put all the paperwork together and got it squared away. It was culture shock for a lot of the kids that started because they weren't used to this type of environment. We have since attracted the tribe of people that are into this type of scientific, education-based, non-yelling, focused people. And basically we have kids that are, I mean, I've had 8 and 9-year-olds that are going 28, 29 and a 50 free, all the way through to post-grads now. So with the college environment being in South Florida, we are attracting some people that come down post-college to train. So it's really a diverse group of people. But I think the common thread that we have here, and that's been in a lot of the groups that I've had over the years, is that it is people that want the knowledge and want to know the why. I think that's the culture. Why are we doing this? Okay, here's why we're doing this. It's not shut up and swim. It's not just get in and go, make the set and go. So the culture, the people that we have, whether they're 9 or 29, is that of, what do I have to do to get to my goals? How is this working for me today? So tomorrow I'm one step further. So it's a lot of fun dealing with kids like that and parents like that get it. So really having the ability to start a team from scratch is a lot easier in many circumstances than taking over something that has a culture for you to overcome. So we set the bar high right from the beginning. I think ASCA had us at number 19 this past year for small teams age group ranking in the USA, which isn't bad for 2 years. It really is a function of education, training, purpose, and focus. And not to say that these kids come in and they're little robots that are ready to hold the pace. We have the same troubles and situations that everything has, but the overall arc is each day, how are we getting closer and closer to that perfection, and how are we getting closer and closer? So building that down here in Florida has been a lot of fun.
Then what about the connection with the college? You have a club team, but how's the college thing working out? What's it like?
The college team is independent from what we do, but we're bleeding in. I think there's a lot of influence now on what they see is happening in the club ranks with the college coaches, and they're taking some of the principles that we're using and putting them in there. Also, I believe that when the kids are done in March, April, they now are staying and training with the club for the summer. We're seeing a lot more of that. This has been the pattern that I've seen throughout my entire career, and you've all probably seen this. Let's just say that you start a program and you have 1 or 2 kids that say, hey, I'm going to come to the morning workout. And then at the end of the season, you have 4, those kids do great. Then you have 4 or 5 because everybody's like, hey, what did they do? Same thing's now happening with the college ranks, I think, is that, instead of just going home for the summer, the people that are staying are doing well. And now we're getting more and more of that. So I think the blend between the club and the college is going to get larger. And then as these college swimmers graduate, it's not a bad place to do your postgraduate training down in, sunny South Florida. So they have connections to the area and they can stay. So I see where we are as not just a age group place for the locals, but I also see it as a potential post-grad center of excellence moving forward. We have a 50-meter outdoor pool with an attached diving well, 25-yard pool as well. One of the things that we're fortunate to have are a lot of the things that you need. I was fortunate to learn a lot about the pulleys from Randy Reese on my time at Clearwater. And those are integral to what we do as well for in-water strength and training for what we do to supplement what we do in the water. So we have 7 power towers, so everything that you need is right there. I mean, you're no worries about the weather. It's beautiful basically year round. It does get hot in the summer and rainy, but for the most part, what we're looking at is a pretty good intense place to be.
You mentioned, and I love that the communication pathway, it gives you a lot of chapters to talk about with the athletes, this scientific foundation. So now, what about, how do you communicate with the kids and the program and the parents and their guardians? And internally and with other coaches? Is it with texting, or is it with email, or do you just keep it all one-to-one on in person on deck? So how does some of those other just nuts and bolts communications happen?
Okay, we did not set this up. Okay, guys, this is not a setup. It's really important that you communicate with the parents. And one of the things that I think is so crucial is that you communicate in the ways that they do it. Like back in the older days, it was parent meetings one-on-one. Then back in the 90s, the early 2000s, your website was your basic generator, and then you had emails and everything else. Now you have, WhatsApp, and there's so many different ways to communicate. I personally like the one-on-one approach, but also the one-to-many approach is important with all those types of communications. I am launching swimparentacademy.com. And the reason I'm doing this is that I think I mentioned to somebody earlier is that people get onto these chat GPTs and they try to learn everything. So what I'm trying to do for my own families, and what I hope to do for other families as well, is get a knowledge base of all the different things that you need from a mental training standpoint, from a nutrition standpoint, from how do you approach race day, and what are the different things that you do, not technical, not training or anything else, but how do you help the parents learn what they need to do to effectively support the swimmers. So to circle back to where I was at the beginning, I think people now, they use this. And if the app is what I've created is going to help the parents say, okay, I'm gonna ask ChatGPT, but really it's rich GPT because the knowledge base is in there. They're not then going to get generic internet advice. They're going to be able to get the knowledge base that I've put in there and then talk to me as well. So I think in 2026, it's important, again, to meet them where they are. And for me, it's creating that app. So they have access to my knowledge base 24/7 in addition to me as well. So it's not just an article on the website anymore. It's an app on their phone that they can utilize. So I think that's the next generation of parent communication, and going to be launching it in the next day. So thank you for that question.
Well, after the seminar, let's go under the hood, you and I. And
okay.
I would love to be able to share some of our ISCA resources and promotional opportunities, and because we've been working on some of those higher level communication things as well. And that would be phenomenal. Okay, then my last question is Matt from Tennessee.
Yes.
You've been collaborating with him. He's going to be into the ISCA Hall of Fame in the future. So
Great.
Could you give me a story or background on your long-term relationship with him? And
sure. The thing that I think everybody who knows Matt knows is that he's a thinker. And what I think drew him originally to what Sergey was providing, it also drew me into that, was the ability to be precise. Fortunately, my oldest stepdaughter also was swimming at Tennessee. And a funny story with that was he wasn't at Tennessee at the time. And he was, a spider. And, I was talking to her, I'm like, look, you might want to go swim with this guy, Matt Kredich, because he's very much in line with what I am. And I think one of the key elements for people to go from their club to their college is creating that marriage with the right coach. And a lot of times if you come from a program like mine and then you go to somebody who's a different way, it might not be a great marriage, or vice versa. I mean, there's people that come to me and there's parents that are like, hey, you're not mean enough to be successful. And I'm like, okay, we're not the right fit. But I was encouraging her to really consider, going to Richmond, I believe. And it didn't. She fell in love with Tennessee, and it was great. And she went there, and then the coach retired, and they got Matt in there, and they had a great relationship. But the thing that always impresses me about Matt is that he's always learning. He's not stagnant in where he is. And I think that's what separates good coaches from great coaches is, yeah, I have all this. But the minute I stop learning, like Matt, the minute I stop trying new things, the minute that I stop, I think that's when you die and you're stagnant. So the biggest thing that I have with Matt in my mind is his absolute ability to learn, synthesize material, and then create ways in which he can take that material to his athletes and translate it into success in the pool. I love watching his athletes swim and watching him do what he does.
Most of the great swimmers like um, Hosoke Kitajima, Michael Phelps, and others, the superstars of their country, are doing personalized coaching. Okay, uh, most of the the coaches, which is um, aiming, normally it's about 3 to 4 swimmers for the elites. Um, Now, for the sake of the new ones, okay, here, and which is not yet on the level of elite coaching, okay, coach, is it possible for you to uh, give a bird's or simple explanation? What is the difference between the elite level, cream of the crop, to the junior or national team? Because why is it that they're focusing on a personalized coaching basis? Yes, coach.
So that's a great question. And one of the things that I was trying to allude to when I was doing the presentation is that too many times swim programs, let's just say you have 1 or 2 really good swimmers and you have 32 kids in the pool. Okay. How do you create a structure that addresses the needs of all 32 swimmers, not just the 1 or 2? It's relatively easy, and it's not. But what I'm saying is if you can focus on 1 or 2 athletes, great. But when you have 32 kids in a pool and you're a young coach and you're in charge of doing all this, how do you do that? That's where a tool like 3S comes in, because you put all 32 swimmers in, you create the season that you're going to go from point A to point Z, and then you get the times that all 32 need to hold, break them up into their lanes, what they need to do. And what I do is then on the lane sheet, I have all the different times that each one of the swimmers needs to hold. And then I have a master copy of that. And I can see from a bird's eye view throughout the course of the swims if they're holding their times or not. There's also wearables that you can do that can track that as well. There's so many ways in 2026 that we can make sure that the swimmers are doing that. But you can't do that on a personalized basis in a large group if you don't know what everybody needs to hold. That is why it's important to set up the season for each one of the individuals to get that personalized attention that they need. And I implore, especially younger coaches that are dealing with multiple athletes, to really sit back and say, how am I going to add the personalized environment for every child or every swimmer or every athlete that I have the privilege to work with all season long? And think about a tool like this or some other tools that allows them to have their own personal workouts. Because you're right. If you're dealing with 2 or 3 kids, coach, and then you have all these other ones, how do you create that environment for them?
In the national team, there are expectations. So if you are handling elite level, you're trying to compute 2 hours is 120 minutes of attention. The 120 minutes of attention covering 3 swimmers or 4 swimmers is already too much. Okay, if the parents are there more than 4 years or 6 years who had been in the swimming, they are also computing the attention that they have, like what Malaysia is doing. Okay, they are compensating coaches personally. Michael Phelps, Kitajima, in order for them to secure the developments, progressive developments, they are resorting to personalized coaching. Most of the countries now are resorting to personalized coaching.
No,
Lately,
and I agree with that. but I think we can do a better job of personalizing the coaching over a larger thread. And what we do by doing that is that we create a larger talent pool, because I think we're throwing away so many kids that aren't getting the attention in those larger groups by not giving them the prescriptions that they need. So one of the things that this program would be great at would be as a, like, for a national governing body. I mean, where you could then put your swimmers in, create the groups, create the structure, and then have the responsibility and have the reporting for the swimmers that are inside of that group. And it would be a great training tool to keep everybody on board for a national governing body. I definitely see that as something that would increase the amount of personalized attention that each one of the swimmers gets by giving them the opportunity. And then you'll see who really is the cream of the crop, because I'm sure we're losing thousands and thousands of potential Michael Phelps by just letting them be the guys that maybe develop a little bit later in life or whatever. So yes, you should definitely have that personalized attention approach for more than just the 2 or 3 people, in my view.
Yeah, which is I talked to the 1994 head coach of China when I was in Singapore, and when he was quite slightly what's this slightly drunk. Okay, he mentioned already that what is planned and ongoing plan for the Singapore, which is north, south, east, west. They have a foreign coach handling a program semi-personalized.
Right.
Then on the national games, they're gonna be having war in the swimming pool itself, showing off the best of the best.
Yeah.
So far, that's that he had been successful in doing that in China, north, south, east, west. Yeah.
And it's a correct approach. And the thing again too is how precise are you? Is it recordable? Is it measurable? All the different things that we talk about, when we're dealing with any type of success in any endeavor in life. So if people don't have a roadmap, then they're basically just driving blind. And I think a lot of times when swimmers are training, they're driving blind. Let's just say we have a set of 13 100s. Somebody may be pushing themselves so fast that they're in a higher energy zone where somebody else is going really smooth and just making the interval. But if you have that personalized attention and you're only focused in on the guy that's going really fast, this guy's getting nothing. So you have to really make sure that they all have that prescription. EVA Training Systems asks talent or genetics in terms of choosing the next great swimmer, or should it be both? It's let's be totally honest and real, okay? The elite swimmers are cut from different cloth. They move through the water differently than the rest of us mortal humans. I think that everybody has a potential to be an amazing athlete, and that comes down not to just talent or genetics. It also comes down to training. It comes down to opportunity. It comes down to support. It comes down to nutrition. It comes down to mental preparedness. I mean, you look at the difference between, there was a study in Florida a while back about the difference between the 5 best tennis players in the world and the top 25, and the top 5 would always see a negative situation as a positive. So you can have the greatest genetics in the world, but if you don't have the mental capacity to do it, or if you don't have the training, or if it's not personalized, the genetics are only one of the contributing factors. My experience has been that in order to be at that elite level, where you're a household name, you need a combination of all those things: coaching, nutrition, mental, genetics, all that. But anybody can achieve a higher level. In the United States, I think of it more as a junior national level swimmer, even if you're not as talented, but you do those great things well.
Now, commonly, if there are competitions which is, for example, 1 week difference. Okay, you competed a week ago, then After a week, you're gonna be competing again. Okay. For a tapering, what is you're talking about? You That's a major meet a week ago, and you still gotta compete after a week with another major league. So, uh, how do you we will start in about
Handle
17 minutes, the mileage within those 7 days of recovery week.
It's a
That's
great question. And
yeah.
one of the things that you really have to do is when you're at week number one, is make sure that the athlete is warming down well, and that they're preparing and they're doing the things that they need to do so their body is in the best possible shape that it can be for going up a little bit again and then coming back down. So basically, what I've done in the past when I have that scenario is looking at the week that I'm doing leading into the first week, and making sure that the athlete has totally done their recovery, that they're flushed out, that their warm downs are not 300-400, but they're doing 800 to 1200 in between, so they're absolutely getting flushed. Then coming back up a little bit, feeling them out, and then going through. And again, that's a little bit more personalized, and it's going to depend on whether they're a distance swimmer versus a sprinter. But a lot of the things that comes in is that energy is not just again from physiological energy, then can also be from your psychological standpoint. How mentally tough are you? How are you going to prepare for that? What's the race strategy that you're going to do that might be a little bit different? So there's a 360-degree way to look at how you deal with week one versus week two. And the more you swim with an athlete, and the more you know that athlete, the more you're going to be able to personalize that individualized approach to what they do. But from a generic standpoint, warming down incredibly well, taking maybe that Monday to come back, and then looking to see if you're going up Tuesday, Wednesday a little bit, touching those higher energy zones, and then going to the other meet. But it's a tough scenario. And one of the things too that you have to look at with swimming a lot of times is in 3S you can do a cascade. So you can do something where you're front loading 16 weeks or so into more of an aerobic zone to go to a mid-season meet in December, and then the second part of the cascade to your March meet is a little bit more with the higher energy zones. And that's a discussion for another day as well. But a lot of times we want people to qualify for their spring events in December. But then you also have where people are going to conference, and then 2 to 3 weeks later have a national meet as well. So these are all things that you need to consider. And for 1 week, I would make sure that the swimmers are warmed down completely after each one of their events. They're fueled properly. They're mentally tough. They take a day or two to kind of relax a little bit, bring them back up, feel where they are, and then hang on. But they should be in good physiological shape to be able to handle a 14-day spread.
Coach, there's a question.
Sure.
Coach, for sprinter based on your own experience, what's the shortest mesocycle optimal have you experienced, and how did it go?
12 weeks ish really is about the shortest cycle. Okay, three months in a tournament. Okay, perfect. So Eric, let me finish with the sprinters. 12 weeks is about it. You can't really, do much less. I mean, you'd be cutting out the aerobic development, probably going straight into the higher energy zones and hoping that the season prior was something that helped them. The thing that I think is important for everybody to realize is that seasons are built on top of each other. And it's not like a season is one encyclopedia. The season is a book inside of an entire library. And in order for you to deal with, well, how's this season going to go? Well, how prepared are you going into the season? What's your level of fitness? What's your capacities and all these different things? So really, it's we can't just look at the tree. We have to look at the forest when it comes to this and a long-term development. But to specifically answer your training question, I would say 12 weeks was about it. It went fine. I think if I had longer, I might be able to develop a little bit more in terms of efficiency and capacity. But when you're dealing with a 19-second race, for say, you can probably get away with 12 weeks. And then Eric, I see, how do you create periodization with 3 months preparation before a tournament? I'm going to share my screen again. Let's see if I'm logged out. All right, so if I'm looking at this right here, I prepare it by going into the season and then starting with where I want to be and here at the end and starting with my current result. And then within this system, it then populates, oh, this is a 13-week season or so. So it's basically within that 3 months. So what you're doing is you're breaking it up into your pull-in phase, your accumulation phase, your realization phase, and your taper phase. And that's the different ones that you're going to deal with. Our athletes, now that they know these, know going in, okay, I'm at the pull-in phase. It's going to be long. It's going to be smooth. It's going to be focused in. As they get into the accumulation phase, they understand the intensity level is going to rise, and realization, they love this. We're doing sprints and getting a lot of rest. So basically, you're breaking it up into these 4 phases over the course of those 3 months and making sure that they have the proper prescriptions in each one of the energy zones so that they're prepared for the next phase. I mean, you can't be here and be effective if you didn't give yourself the opportunity to fill up your gas tanks over here, so you can do that. Yeah. Okay, follow up. 12 weeks, 3 times a week or 6 days a week. Forest and trees, what were they doing before? What's the preparation? What is your schedule? How much pool time do you have? What's your dryland schedule like? I mean, there's so many different questions to look at when you're dealing with that. When I'm dealing with higher level athletes, even age groupers, I'm looking at 6 days a week. I offer 4 mornings a week as well. So they're looking at basically 10 workout sessions plus dryland plus mental sessions. So there's a lot to go with it. Again, are you looking at an athlete that is, training for an elite level? Are you looking at an athlete that's developmental? So again, seasons are built upon seasons. If somebody's doing 3 times a week, then maybe you're bumping it up to 4, then 5, then 6, so you can get that opportunity. Then adding mornings, then adding dryland. One of the things that I hope you don't do is just start somebody from 0 and take them to 100 right from the beginning. We have to ramp up athletes' capacities to make sure that their body and their minds are ready for it. And then the other person that you have to deal with is, are mom and dad ready for it? If you create something where, okay, the kids have to be here at a certain time and they can't do it, and the parents do that, you might burn out your parents as well. So one of the things that I do with my group is I have 0 minimum requirements. I let the kids come when they're ready to come. And if I ask for 90%, I get 90%. If I teach them why they should come 100%, I'm going to get 110% buy-in. So whether it's 3 days a week or 6 days a week is really a function of what they did prior and what your end goal is. But if you want to give me a specific, I'd be happy to give you any recommendations that I would have.
Talk about the ISCA meets and your
Sure.
experiences there.
Oh my God, I'd love to. I have a relationship with Doug that goes back a bit. Before it was ISCA, when it was under a different name as well. And I was also one of the first people to do the NCSA meets in Belmont in the early 2000s. And there was a bunch of us that were almost banned from USA Swimming for doing that, our own junior national meet. And I was very, very loyal to that meet for many years. And it was the one that helped to bring USA Juniors back. And then the first year that USA brought the junior national event back, our club won. And so I was forever grateful for that whole NCSA. But the ISCA meet does things that are a little bit different. And our club, our new club, is really focused on ISCA, not NCSA. And the reasons that I love ISCA are the single age group aspect of it. And we're talking about developing swimmers. If we go with the 14 and under meet first, you're looking at 9-year-olds, 11-year-olds, and 13-year-olds that in a traditional sense never get the opportunity to shine because they're developmentally at a disadvantage versus the kids that are in a higher age group. So having the ability to have kids that are at the bottom of their age group, 9, 11, and 13, shine and come back for finals from a coaching standpoint is motivational for them. It's motivational for their parents. It gives them a goal. It gives them something to do. From a senior standpoint, you're looking at 15 or 16 and under as well. And I think 15 and 16-year-old boys are probably the hardest age group for us to maintain, because a lot of times they go from this 14 and under age group, rah, everything's great. Now you're 15 going against 23-year-olds. And you might be in heat number 72, lane number irrelevant, and never get a second swim and see where you are. So taking my 15 and 16-year-olds to the ISCA meet allows them the opportunity to get a second swim. And it's funny, I was just showing the swimmer that I had the 200 breaststroke about the difference between people in the prelims that did their personal best time at nationals versus the people that did a best time at finals. And so many times as coaches, we prepare our seasons based on what the athlete did at the end of the season prior. So, for example, that 202 for the breaststroke. Now, he didn't get a second swim, but let's just say that he got a second swim and he went 201. I might be starting my season at a different point. So by taking the kids to the ISCA meet that are 15 and 16 and they get a second swim, it might change the trajectory of where we're going to go next season, because they do have that second swim. So the other thing is, it's beautiful. St. Pete was the first pool that I went to when I moved down to Florida in the 80s. And I thought, oh my God, if every pool in Florida looks like this, I've landed in heaven. Of course, they all don't, but it's absolutely a beautiful event. Doug runs a great meet. The awards are awesome. My parents would kill me if we did not go to the ISCA meets at all. They would absolutely revolt. I would lose my position.
All right.
So yeah, it's a great, if you're thinking about going, absolutely go. The announcing with Duffy is awesome. The music's great. The awards are big, and God.
Hey, good morning, everybody. And hi, Dennis.
Yes. Yeah, good evening, good evening. Here. Is Mark Pablo there already?
I don't know. Let's see. There's 50 attendees. He's not on as a host.
Why is it that it's 41 here in the guest, but there are 50 attendees?
I don't know. Maybe that was streaming numbers, or maybe people came and left and the attendees just stay the same.
It's 50 on the attendees,
Yes, I
but
see that.
it's 41 only on the guest.
Right. I think maybe the attendees, some like 9 people have left. I don't know. Okay, I got his other 2 videos there. That's going to be on slide 36.
Okay, we're just waiting for a few
See, now it's up.
minutes.
Let's
Just
we're
wait
streaming now, by the way, and your camera is just seeing your hair at the top of your head.
Yeah. I don't know, but why my background is not actually showing.
Oh yeah.
Where do I get my background here?
That's a good question. Upload photo, new photo. Let's whoops. This is the one I wanted to show. There you are, Dennis. But that's a static art. We'll be
Okay.
playing. That's in the widget area under the welcome.
Yeah.
How about a 1 minute intro video?
Yeah, good
Sure,
morning,
sure.
good evening, and good afternoon for those who are coming from different places around the world. Okay, this is your chairman of the UCSSC welcoming you in the 2026, and we are thankful for the consistent attendees. We would like to persuade most of the coaches to upgrade themselves for the latest of coaching uh, knowledge that you can get coming from the UCSSC. The speakers coming from different countries, most of them are actually national coaches. We would like to ask you to at least spend about 1 hour to attend the UCSSC Sports Coaching Education. Thank you.
I still don't see our presenter yet. So
Yeah,
I
just wait.
posted in the chat where you can see the slides. The slides are a little bit better that you'll see today. I used a better version. And we also have some little videos, and they're all loaded up, ready to go. Looks like a lot of visitors from the Philippines have joined us today.
I told you. It's all about the the setup. Okay. Uh, dog Kardish is communicating with me here now. Okay, dog Kardish. Okay, wait. Until now, I'm still waiting for. Uh, he told me. Oh, yes.
Here comes Mark, the other doctor.
Okay, Mark, are you there?
He he has showed up in our one area. I asked him to
Coach
unmute.
Mark. Coach Mark.
Let's hear his voice.
We can't hear you, Coach Mark.
Coach, good
Hey,
evening.
Uh, can you get in? Okay. Okay.
yeah, he's there.
Can you make it louder, please? Mark, we cannot hear you.
He's muted now. I'm going to click ask to unmute again. Speak to us, Mark. Let's
Mark,
do a sound check.
Mark, you need to speak. Hello, Mark. We need to check if your mic is off. Okay.
Coach, good evening.
Okay,
Can you hear
Mark.
me?
Yeah. Okay. Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon from different parts of the world. Okay. This is hello. Are you
You're
there?
good.
Okay. This is
Yeah,
Coach
I'm
Dennis speaking. Okay. We welcome you for the United Countries School Sports Council seminars. And we do have 100, we're targeting 150 seminars for 2026. Okay. With me, I do have my co host, okay, from USA, a water polo coach, okay, the executive vice president of the UCSSC, Coach Mark Rauterkus, and the one handling the competitions in USA for ISCA, okay. He is the manager, he is the head for the competitions on ISCA, uh, where he's going back and forth from places to places for about 48 countries, okay? 48 parts of the country of USA. Now, we do have our seminar today. It's all about the basics of BLS, which is basic life saving. And actually, he is an EMT, that's emergency medical technician. Okay, he's also a coach. Okay, an EMT is actually more of the actual thing on on emergencies, okay, where you see people on action for with in an ambulance, okay, and for example there are disasters or whatsoever, okay, he's the one doing most of the thing, okay, uh for most of the accidents, okay. So we will be having we will be having our speaker coming from Philippines, Bacolod area. Okay, he's actually a coach in swimming. Okay, formerly a volleyball player also. Okay, so we would like to give the floor to our speaker for today, none other than Coach Mark Pablo Orcena.
Good evening, coaches. Good evening, Sir Mark and also Sir Dennis. Good evening. Can you hear me already?
Good evening. Good evening,
Yeah. Okay. So, by the way, my dear coaches, can I slide?
Coach. Your voice is basically husky. Maybe it's
Okay.
on your
Here we go.
microphone.
Okay, everyone, if you can hear me, please put a heart to our chat.
I heard you. You got to keep talking. And did you see how the widgets work? Hey, John. Good. So for the presenter, Doctor, you go to the widgets area, and the first is the first aid folder. And I'll click
Guys,
on
we
your
need
first
to.
slide, and then let's run your first video now. It's on the water video. Here it comes.
Water, vital to our daily lives. It gives us life. It transports us. It's a playground for sports and activities. But water always deserves our respect. Without warning, it can suddenly and silently take a life. Drowning is a respiratory impairment caused by immersion in liquid. Once started, death or serious injury is the only outcome if the event is not stopped within minutes. 23,000 people fatally drown in the WHO European region each year. 63 people every day, 3 people every hour. In so many ways, drowning is both a silent and a hidden killer. But for those who survive, the respiratory impairment can result in serious and lifelong brain injuries. Drowning has a significant impact across different age groups. It is the second leading cause of fatalities in children aged 5 to 14. 3 of every 4 people drowned is aged over 30. 1 in 4 is aged over 60. In terms of gender, 4 times as many males drown compared to females. So how do we prevent drowning? The World Health Organization has published recommendations on a range of different actions that countries, governments, communities, families, and individuals can take. Many drownings occur when children inadvertently fall into water. To protect these children, we must restrict access to water through the use of barriers. Whatever the aquatic environment, a child can drown in seconds. Therefore, parents and caregivers must be aware of the vulnerability of children and provide constant, uninterrupted, responsible supervision. From school-going age onwards, everyone can be taught survival swimming skills. These skills are not intended to create Olympic champions, but rather to give children and adults the confidence and the ability to get themselves to safety if they unintentionally fall in the water. Swimming skills are also highly valuable as a healthy physical activity. Lifeguards and bystanders can be trained to rescue and resuscitate drowning victims. However, a simple rule must be remembered. Your own personal safety comes first. The only thing worse than one person drowning is for two or more persons to drown trying to rescue another. Life jackets and other certified personal flotation devices save lives. Their correct use in water transport and water recreation must be mandated and promoted. Alcohol is a major risk factor in drowning deaths and aquatic injuries. Legislation must restrict the use of alcohol in water transport and recreational water settings. Whilst rare events, water transport or environmental disasters such as a ferry capsize or a flood can result in huge numbers of drowning victims. Setting and enforcing regulations is crucial to safe water transport, and the broadcast of emergency warnings to the population of an impending flood can give people the time to get to safe ground. The causes of and contributors to drowning are many, and drowning prevention is just as interdisciplinary. To be effective, all stakeholders should work together to develop and implement a strategic plan that is relevant to how people drown in your community. No matter the water environment, inland or coastal, cold or warm, no matter the water activity, occupational or recreational, no matter the risk, alcohol, beach, boat, or bath, no one has to drown, not on our watch.
Okay, my dear coaches, that is made you inspired us in that video that other here are swimming coaches and other here are other sports coaches. Please, we recommend in the Philippine Life Saving Society and also for the International Life Saving. Please invite your students to also to learn swimming because swimming is a really a life saving skill. Not only it is fun, but it's a real life saving skill. Especially we are near water. Now, for next slides, my dear coaches, we will tackle about our international first aid and also the basic life support. This presentation is mixed ideas from other organizations like Philippine Life Saving, from Philippine Red Cross and American Red Cross or the World Health Organization. This presentation it will make you more ready in any sports related activities or injuries. Okay, next slide, please, Coach Mark. Okay, guys. My name is Mark Pablo. I am an emergency medical technician and the head coach founder of the Sea Serpent Swimming Team and School, a Philippine life saving instructor of special swim and survive and resuscitation and emergency care, aquatic lifesaver level 7, resuscitation and emergency care certified, a tactical emergency casualty care provider. I am also a tactical medic, and I'm a safety officer and a psychological first aider. Now, before we will start, I would ask you a question. What is first aid? Anyone who can comment in the chat box, what is first aid for you? What can we present the next slide, please? Thank you. To anyone, Richard, what is first aid for you? Anyone has an idea what is first aid? Can I hear you guys?
People could take a guess inside the chat and put in your ideas, but I think he has the answer coming up next.
Spring from acute illness or injury. It is designed to prevent life, to prevent the condition from worsening, and to promote recovery until professional medical help arrives. Coaches, from the word to prevent life. In first aid, we are preventing life
Coach,
because
coach,
if
coach,
yes, go.
Coach Mark,
Yeah,
Coach
Dennis,
Mark,
yeah, tell us what you want.
Coach Mark.
Coach.
Uh, Coach, can you go near your microphone? Kasi it's they cannot really understand your voice. Okay. Uh, the Mindanao is telling me that they cannot really understand the voice. You need to be close to the microphone so it will be clear on the voice. Thank you.
Okay, coach. Okay. I'm clear already, coach. Hear clearly.
Okay. Continue.
Okay. Okay, guys.
We can't hear you. We cannot hear you. Coach, we cannot hear you.
Somehow he went to mute.
Coach, we cannot hear you. Oh God.
Okay, speak now, Mark. Definitely has microphone issues.
Coach, can you hear me, coach?
Mark,
Oh, yeah, that's
yes.
Coach.
good.
Okay.
Okay.
Hello.
Okay, coach.
Okay.
Okay.
Please. Thank you.
So now, we will proceed. Now preserving life again, and also we prevent furthermore injuries, my dear coaches, and also we promote recovery until the medical professionals arrive. So recovery, in some cases, if you don't treat your injury properly, it will also give you a life-threatening condition or either a lifetime change into your life. If a dislocation did not first aid properly, maybe or sooner you cannot walk or your athletes will not walk. So now the question is this: why we need as a coaches, why we need to study first aid or why we need to learn first aid and basic life support? My dear coaches, in this seminar, if you think that first aid is not for you or listening about basic life support is not for you because you are smart, if you are intelligent, you are freely to go. No? Because I hate coaches who are saying to me, Coach, we don't need first aid. We don't need to listen about basic life support because again, coach, it is useless because there are medics already. Now, if you see, brothers, my dear coaches, coaches are required first aid and basic life support training to provide immediate and life-saving care during emergency, as they are usually the first on scene during practice or game. Not all the time there is medics. Not all the time there is lifeguard. Ethically speaking or legally speaking, my dear coaches, we have responsibility as a coach to have a duty to care to ensure the safety of their athletes and making training essential for mitigating a risk. Common sense. If you are there, coaches, you are the first one to act. Nobody else. Okay, except if you have a swimmer or if you have an athlete that is also a first aider. Now we will tackle about sports related injuries and their first aid. We will focus on these things because we are coaches. The first aid training will took you for 3 days and 1 year to master all the first aid. So we will just focus to the sports related injury and to its first aid. Now, what are the top common sports injuries? Number one, this is the most common things that happens. Strain. What is strain? It is overstretching or tearing of muscle or tendons, commonly in hamstring, groins, or lower back. Next is sprain. What is sprain? It is a stretching or tearing of a ligaments, frequent in ankle or knees. We will tackle it more deeper later. Okay? So, knees injuries includes runner knees. It is all about ligament tearing. It's all about dislocation. Shoulders injuries. It's rotator cuff tear, either it's strain or either dislocation. Fracture. Broken bones in fingers, toes, or ankle. Concussions is a brain injury from a direct blow or fall. It's commonly in contact sports like boxing or either rugby or what. Okay. So now next is the lastly common is the wound. Is an injury to living tissue caused by a cut or a blow or other impact. Typically one in which in the skin, cut or broken. So next slide, we will tackle about strain. Okay, strain, my dear coaches, is a tear or a stretch in a muscle fiber, often causing pain or swelling and reduced movement. Even coaches, even we do stretching to our athletes, it is we are still prone to strain. Coach, what is the first aid? So first, pea rice. If you are eating rice, then you're lucky. No, I'm joking. Pea rice. What is the meaning of pea rice? First is P. Protect the injury. Stop using the injured limb pad to protect. Coaches, if your athlete is suffering to a sprain, please refrain them in standing up and to walk. Okay, we need to protect the injured part. Next is rest the injury. Okay, don't move the injury furthermore. Next, we apply ice. The I is ice. Why we apply ice? Why not hot compress? Why it's cold compress? Because the cold help us to lessen the pain. Okay, not to wipe out the pain, but to lessen the pain. Next, comfortable support. Apply a supportive bandage. We do bandage to the injured part so that we to have a support to that injured part. And next is we need to elevate to reduce swelling. We need to elevate. If it is a foot, you lay down, find a 1 feet tall bag or 1 feet tall chair, then elevate it. Why we need to elevate it? What is the help of elevating to reduce swelling? Because we need to reduce also the pressure to the injured part. Okay, gets? We need to prevent the pressure to the injured part. Next is seek for the medical professional. Why we need to seek medical professional? Because if we will just leave the strain, the strain to our own self, it will tendency we will damage again another muscle, another fiber. I have this experience, my dear coaches. I have one athlete in track and field. He do strain. He does a strain in the competition. So what happened? We treat him, and then the doctor advises that he needs to rest for 6 months. You see, um, he need to rest for 6 months. Now, what will happen if we don't bring my athlete to the hospital? Tendency, my athlete could not walk for his whole life because of that, just a little injury, because his hamstring popped. Okay, the fibers into his hamstring has been cut in running. Okay, so now next, what is the sprain? We will talk about sprain. It is a tear or a stretch in a muscle fiber, often swelling and reduced movement. So sprain, um, otherwise I've corrected it. Sprain is all about the ligaments. Okay, it's all about the ligaments. It's all about the joints. Okay, it's a tear of a joint. Now, so the first aid of the strain is still a rise. We need to protect. We need to rest it. We need to put an ice pack of it, and then we need to um, support it with our bandages, and also to elevate it to reduce pressure. If 2 to 3 days, no, this is not a really a crucial thing. But if 2 to 3 days, if there is no progress, please seek for medical professionals' help. Why? Because there are tendency that 2 to 3 days, that injury, maybe there is a small dislocation, or there's a really a dislocation, or either there is a small fracture in it. Okay, so what is the difference of strain and a sprain? So again, strain is about the tendons or the muscles. If you can see the slides, and sprain is all about the ligaments. It's all about the joints. Okay, so now the next slide will show you the video of how to bandage our joints or a strain.
If someone sprained an ankle, knee or elbow, you can use a bandage to support the limb. To make sure you give the right kind of support, bend the joint slightly and apply an ice pack and padding, and then a bandage to help cool and support the injury. You need to wrap it either side of the injury too, to give enough support for the whole area. We're going to demonstrate this technique on an ankle, but you could use it for an elbow or a knee. To bandage an ankle, use a roller bandage. Make sure you have the ankle raised and supported to start with, and then apply an ice pack and some padding. Using the roller bandage, start with the tail and put it to the inside of the foot, and then wrap it around 1.5 times just to make sure that it doesn't come off. I'm just going to lift up your leg a little bit. Okay. It's important to bandage from the toes to the knee because you need to make sure that you cover from the joint before to the joint after the injury site, and then just keep on going around and around. So keep on going until you get to the knee. And then if you can, wrap the bandage around twice when you get to the knee, and then just pin it in place. Does that feel okay? Yep. To check circulation, squeeze the toenail for 5 seconds. When you let go, the colour should return within 2 seconds. If it doesn't, it means the bandage is too tight and you need to loosen it off and reapply it. Keep checking the circulation every 10 minutes because the ankle may still swell. So remember, when you're bandaging a sprain, Apply an ice pack and then cover the injury with padding. Apply a roller bandage to hold the ice pack and padding in place and to help support the injury. Check circulation every 10 minutes and keep the injury elevated. And that's how we bandage a sprain.
Okay, guys. So that is how we bandage an injured ankle or a sprained ankle. So if if you are a coach, please bring a first aid kit all the time if you have training. Okay? So others here at the Philippines or here at Bacolod, we are bringing trauma bags. We do first aid kits over our cars. Okay, so that we can have a first aid if anytime, anywhere. Okay, now let's proceed. Knee injuries. What are the knee injuries, or what is knee injury? It is commonly caused by a sudden twist or fall, or an overuse during sports. It involves damage of ligaments, tendons, cartilage, or bone, often causing pain and swelling, instability, and locking, or either dislocation, knee dislocation. Now, what is the first aid of knee injury? It is the same. Any guys, if you see any sports related injury has the same first aid. P rise. Okay? So seek the lastly is just a difference. Seek for the medical professional immediately. Because dislocation tendency, if pop up, your knees pop up and then it just go back, but there is a tendency will be a crack inside, or you need a physical therapy. Why I can say so? No, there is a fractures or dislocation. You need to bring it immediately to the hospital. My sister, my sister is a PT or a physical therapist. Last time I do have a knee dislocation when I was elementary while doing volleyball. Um, when I have approached high school, I'm running. I'm in athletics. It's pop up again and go back. So my sister recommended me to do more on therapy and strengthening my muscles over in my knees. Okay, so guys, please seek immediately a professional doctor or a trauma doctor. Okay, so fracture, it is a crack in the bone, and dislocation, it is all about the joints. Okay, it's all about the joints. Now next, so this is
Okay,
the
so today I'm
video
going to be showing you how to.
our how we splint our knee injury.
Okay, so today we're going to be showing you how to splint a knee injury. So the first thing to do is make sure you have the right equipment. So we have 2 long boards, and then we have 3 triangle bandages that we're going to use. Okay, so on the injured knee, it's important when you have a joint injury that you're going to first hold manual stabilization. So you're going to go for the long bone above and below the joint. So I'm going to start holding manual stabilization, and then I'm going to have an imaginary partner take over that. And then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to check PMS. So we're going to feel for a pulse, and then can you wiggle your toes, and then can you feel which toe I'm touching? Okay. And then while my partner's holding manual stabilization, I'm going to go ahead and get my boards ready. They have a hard side and a soft side. So make sure that your soft side is in, touching your patient. And then ordinarily I would have a partner hold these while I'm getting my ties ready, but Sean's going to hold them. And then, okay, so for our first tie, we take one triangle bandage. And there's a little space right here between her knee and the tops of these 2 boards. So I'm going to start with the corner of my triangle bandage, go underneath her knee, then around both of the boards. And then I'm going to make a tie. It's really important to make sure that you're tying the triangle bandages onto the orange boards. You never want to tie a knot on your patient. It's so that mainly so that you can make sure your knot is really tight and also for patient comfort. So I'm just going to go ahead. When you're supposed to go to a real patient, you would want to just go ahead and knot this, but for practice, we're going to go ahead and loop it. All right, and then your second triangle bandage. So when we're looking at the boards right here, you can see that there's kind of a wide acute angle here, and then, sorry, an obtuse angle here, and then there's an acute angle right here that it makes with her body. So we're going to take our second triangle bandage. We're going to go into the acute angle, pull it down as far as we can towards her leg. Then we're going to cross the triangle bandages on this board. One tie is going to go down around her leg. And then we're going to tie on the opposite board. And then we're going to do the same thing for the third tie. Again, if the boards are like this, you can kind of see there's an acute angle right here, and then there's a more obtuse angle on the bottom. Right in. Okay, so we're going to go underneath the two orange boards, go up towards her leg, cross on the opposite board. It's really important at this step you want to hold these two ties really tightly. That way you can maintain tension all the way around the tie. One tie is going to go under, one's going to go over, and then we are going to pull on the opposite board. Loop the ties together, and then that's it. Last thing we're going to do, make sure we check PMS again. So feel for a pulse. Can you wiggle your toes? And then can you feel what I'm touching? And then the way we have this, Shani won't be able to move her leg. So can you try to straighten your leg? And that's the most important thing. Make sure your ties are tight. And this way the patient won't be able to move their leg at all during transport.
Okay, guys. So that is how we splint an injured knees. I just get videos in the YouTube because we cannot really do a um personal assessment or an actual assessment for the dislocated knees. Okay, so in actual first aid training, we do have a patient and we do the equipments. Okay, so this is just a seminar again, my dear coaches. So we just it is a theoric, more on theory. Now next, um, shoulder injury. Now it includes the rotator cuff tear, tendinitis, dislocation, and fracture. Often results from acute trauma fall or repetitive overhead motion in sports and daily activities. Common symptoms include pain, swelling, instability, and limited range. Okay, it's all about our shoulder. Now, what is the first aid in our shoulder? Again, in sports-related injury, always remember the P rise. Okay? Again, protect the injured part, rest the injury, put an ice packet and comfortable, supportive, apply supportive bandages, elevate to reduce swelling. How we elevate our shoulders? Put your patient in a sitting position. Okay? And then seek medical professional immediately. Now, next, I will show you how to bandage the dislocated shoulders. Are the videos can help us how to we properly bandage um our dislocated
The bicep
shoulders.
tendon. You're gonna go around the shoulder and then around the body, and then you're going up And everything should be kind of at this anterior shoulder, around the shoulder, around the body, around the shoulder, around the body.
How we use bandage. Now, how we use triangular bandages. So we will see at the next video. Next video.
In this section, you will see the step-by-step application of 3 slings used for arm and shoulder injuries. All 3 of these slings are applied to the patient to support and secure the limb. The first sling to be demonstrated is the arm sling. It is for wrist and forearm injuries. Hold the triangle bandage with the longest length vertical and hold the arrow pointing to the injured side of the body. Lay the sling over the patient's body, aligning the arrow tip with the height of the elbow. Have the patient move the injured arm across their body, then take the bottom of the sling and fold it over the other shoulder. Fasten the sling at the shoulder with a knot, ensuring that the elbow is covered and supported by the sling. This can be done with a safety pin or another knot.
Okay, so that is the 3 types, my dear coaches, of how we bandage our dislocated shoulder. Okay, first is the using the elastic bandages, and then the second thing is using our triangular bandages. So if you have available triangular bandage, and use your triangular bandage. If you have available elastic bandage, and use your elastic bandage. Okay, now next, for our next injury. Next is I cannot see the slide. Wait a minute.
It's a fracture.
Okay, it's a fracture. So fracture is a complete or a partial break to the bone, often causing severe pain, swelling, bruising, and deformity. Guys, this is um usually happens to a contact sports, the fracture, especially in football or taekwondo, aikido, and other contact sports. Now, what is the first aid of a fracture? Okay, now the first aid of fractures, guys, if there is a bleeding, then first stop the bleeding. Next is we apply, we need to stabilize our injured part or the fracture. So we need to put splint. Okay, we need to put splint under. Why under? Under the injured part, not like we are putting a sandwich. Okay, we need to put it under to support, to stabilize our fracture, and then put an ice pack not directly to your injured part. Okay, either it is in the side. And guys, if you wrap or you knot your splint, please do not put it directly to your injured part. Okay, please put a 3 inches or a 2 inches distance from the injured part. Okay, so now next is bring your patient to the hospital. Again, please bring your patient to the hospital. Okay, now next injury. This is how we also next injury na. Okay, next injury is a concussion. It is all about um a great impact to your head, especially to your brain. Okay, it is commonly, guys, if you it's a blow to your head. This is commonly in boxing. Okay, sometimes concussion can impair the consciousness of your patient, memory loss, and visual disturbance. Okay, your patient or your athlete may go to unconscious. Okay, so this this thing, the first aid of this one, guys, is first you put an ice pack, okay, into your head and then bring your patient to the nearest hospital because concussion can also create blood clot to your head. Okay, one time when I was in high school, I do volleyball. I slept the floor and then I hit my head to the floor and then I have a two blood clot into my head. Now, immediate first aid. Stop the activity instantly. Okay, assess and monitor your patient. If it is unconscious, call an emergency or an ambulance. Keep still. Don't move your patient. Support the head. Manage the injury. Use a cold pack. Okay, to reduce swelling for 10 to 20 minutes. Apply firm, direct pressure to the bleeding or wound if there is a wound, but avoid direct pressure to the skull fracture. If there is a fracture to the head, please do not put a pressure. Okay, because there is a tendency that your skull will puncture your brain. Next, do not move unnecessarily. If the person is wearing a helmet, leave it on. Especially on taekwondo, we wear helmets. Please don't take off the helmet immediately. Okay? Let the ambulance crew, the EMTs, the paramedics to get it off. Okay? Next, avoid medication or do not give food, drinks, painkillers to the patient. Sometimes other athletes, if they hit their head, they will ask for water. So please do not give them anything. Why? Because there is a tendency that you, the athlete, will choke to that food or to that water. Why, coach? Why he will choke if only the head is injured? Because the brain also controls your gut reflex, your throat. Okay? So please, when to call 911? First, if your patient is unconscious, guys, please call 911 immediately. Severe increasing of headache. This happens if there is a cranial pressure inside the brain, repeated vomiting, and severe nausea. Guys, there is a tendency that your patient is experiencing um, bleeding into his brain or either blood clot. Okay? Slur of speech, confused and unusual behavior. Um, Here, why they are confused? Because the brain is affected. Okay? Weakness, numbness, or decrease of coordination. Watery or bloody fluids dripping to the ears or nose. Guys, if you can see into the ears of your athlete, there is a thick yellowish, and a white fluid coming here. Okay? That means he has a severe, okay, it is having severe head injury. So please call immediately an ambulance. Okay? Now next, we will tackle about wounds. Okay, this is commonly bruises or cut. Wounds is typically a cut or a break to your skin, my dear coaches. So now, what are the different kinds of wounds? Okay, so we have the types of different wounds is open and closed. First, the open wound is exposed or underlying tissue, increasing infections risks, while the closed wound, like likely bruises or hematomas, involve internal damage without breaking the skin. Now, what is the kinds of, or what is the types of wound? The next slide, we can see here the first is abrasion. Okay, abrasion is just a small scratches. Next is the laceration. The laceration, guys, It is a zigzag form because you're cut, you have been cut of a sharp object, and then we have here a punctured wound. Okay, a punctured wound is all about there is an impaled object inside, avulsion. Okay, the skin peeled off, and then the incision. The incision is a straight cut. Okay, the laceration is a zigzag cut, and then the incision is a straight cut. And amputation. What is amputation? It is a cut off partially of a part of the body. Okay, that is amputation. Now, how to first aid your wound? Okay, the first thing to do is to wash or to stop the bleeding first. Okay, stop the bleeding if it is severe. Put a pressure in it and then wash your wound. After you wash your wounds, point, put an antibacterial cream to the wound and then put a dressing on it. A sterile dressing, a clean dressing. Okay? And then pack it up. Okay? Change it every day. Again, guys, stop the bleeding first. Rinse it to the wound. Apply antibacterial cream. Cover it with a clean bandage or a dressing and then change it every day. Now, if it's impaled, okay, if it's impaled object, do not get off the impaled object. If there is there is a pen stabbing in his chest, do not take it off. Just put bandage up, put dressing around the punctured um the punctured wound to stabilize your impaled object. Okay? If there is a punctured wound, please bring your patient to the hospital. If it is if it is um cut finger, guys, please, or amputation, amputated finger, amputated leg like that, please secure the amputated part, okay, the finger or the leg, put it into a plastic, okay, wrap it in a plastic and put into an ice, okay, and then please bring it also to the hospital, the one who is been take off, okay, the patient and with his amputated finger or amputated um part of the body. Now, guys, we will talk all about basic life support. Okay, basic life support is all about CPR, or CPR we are calling is a cardiopulmonary resuscitation. It means we are helping to pump our heart and also to give oxygen to our lungs. Okay, as a definition, it been given to a patient who has no signs of life. Okay, we do 30 30 compression, 2 ventilation for 5 cycles. Okay, here you can see the video I present how CPR works to our body. If we are pumping, we are helping the heart to pump and circulate the oxygenated blood to your patient. Why we need to do CPR? Guys, 7 minutes without oxygen to the brain, your brain will die. Okay, that's why we do CPR. Now, when to do CPR? In the Philippine Life Saving or the International Life Saving propose much more easier emergency plan, that is the DRSABCD. D. First, check the danger. What are the danger? Water, electrical, fire, and then the rays of the sun, that is also a danger. Coaches, if you are not safe, please do not engage. Okay? Safety yourself first. There is nobody will help to the patient if you yourself is not safe. Okay? If we can get the danger away from our athletes, we will take it off. If there is if the danger is water in the swimming pool, then let us get our athlete first from the water. Okay? Now next, R, check for the responsiveness of your athlete or your patient by calling. Can you hear me? Okay? Can you hear me? Open your eyes. What's your name? Can you squeeze my hands? We are checking the five senses of our athletes. If it is operating, okay, remember the cow, COWS. COWS. C for can you hear me? O, can you open your eyes? W, what's your name? S, squeeze my hands. Other, to the world, to the American Heart Association, they are calling it, hey, hey, can you hear me? Hey, hey, can you hear me? Okay? If the patient or your athlete has no response, please, excuse me, call immediately an ambulance. Okay? Or please, you tell to your assistant coach, you tell your athletes, your parents, please call an ambulance. Okay? So now, you already called the ambulance. D, R. Okay, you are now safe. That is D. Checking the danger. R. Okay? So we check already the response. We already send help. Okay? Now next, A. We will check the airway of our patient. We need to have a healthy chin lift. Okay, we are doing this one. This is a pistol grip you put over here, and then your other hand is over here as a head. Okay, and then we will tilt it. Open the airway of your patient. Check if there is any obstruction, if there is any foreign object. A teeth, a tongue, a gum. Okay, and then we will do finger sweep. We will get it out. Okay, so that our airway is clear. Now, after the airway is clear, check the breathing of your patient. Either you look, listen, and feel by doing this into your cheek, or either you will put your back of your palm here, and then you put your other hands over here, okay, at your abdomen, and then count for 10 seconds by counting 1001, 1002 until 1010. Okay? So as we check the breathing, if there is no breathing, guys, please proceed immediately to CPR. Coach, why we don't check the circulation of our patient, the pulse of our patient? Everyone, if the patient stop breathing, it is understandable that the heart and the lungs stop operating. Okay? There is some that there is still a small pulse because the blood is still going to our body, but our heart is now already stopped. Okay? You can still feel a small pulse. Okay? It is a weak pulse. So that weak pulse, we need to pump the heart of our patient so that we can strongly circulate the blood to the body of our patient. Now, how to CPR? Again, 30 compression. Put your hands over here, the center of our chest, not in the nipple line, not above the sternum or 3 inches, at the center of the chest. Expose the chest, everyone. Expose the chest of your patient. Coach, the question is, our patient, or may at least a girl, and I am a guy. What is more important? Giving him a CPR or have a malice into your mind? Okay, expose the chest of your patient. Find that center. Put your palm over here. Okay, put here. This part of your palm, put it here. It's to the center. Either you do in Australia or other part of Australia, they do wrist hold, or other will do this one.
Coach, we cannot see you.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Can you see me already, coach?
Yeah, it's buffering at my end, but it's coming, I think. I'm not sure if your video's on or not. But we got a good video to show with the CPR. Should I show
Okay.
that?
Okay. We will show you the video how to CPR everyone.
To perform CPR on an adult, first check for danger. Are you or the casualty in any immediate danger? If yes, then remove the danger. But if that's not possible, move the casualty. Now try to get a response by kneeling next to the person and squeezing their shoulders.
Open your eyes.
Hold their hand and ask them to squeeze if they can hear you.
Squeeze my hand if you can hear me.
If there's no response, send for help. Call for an ambulance on 000, or if another person's available, ask them to do it.
Call an ambulance.
Open the airway by checking the person's mouth and removing any obstructions with a finger sweep. Once the mouth is clear, tilt the head back to open the airway. Look, listen and feel for any breathing. If they're breathing, gently roll them onto their side into the recovery position. But if you can't detect normal breathing, then start CPR. 30 compressions of the chest, followed by 2 breaths. Here's how. Begin by kneeling next to the person's torso. Place the heel of one hand over their lower sternum, with your other hand on top. Lock your fingers and lean over so your arms are straight. Push the chest down by 1/3, about 4 to 5 centimetres. Now do 30 compressions in time with the flashing indicator on your screen. Count out each compression until you reach 30. We'll wait while you do that. Reached 30? Time for the 2 breaths. Tilt the head back, lift the chin, block the nose. Completely cover their mouth with yours and breathe out. After each breath, look for the rise and fall of the chest. That's all the breath you need, enough to lift the chest. Continue CPR at 30 compressions to 2 breaths until the person responds, or normal breathing returns, or the paramedics are ready to take over. This is hard work and you'll soon tire, so if there are other people nearby, get them ready to take over.
Can you give me a hand?
As you continue to provide 2 breaths, make sure the head is tilted back and that the chest rises and falls each time. If the chest doesn't rise, it may mean that the head is not tilted back enough, or that the airway is blocked. If the person is still unresponsive and not breathing normally, apply a defibrillator if one is available. Follow the prompts of the defibrillator and be prepared to continue CPR if required and as directed.
Peel 1 white pad from the grey case.
Otherwise, keep doing CPR until help arrives. When the ambulance arrives, the paramedics need to get to the casualty as quickly as possible, so have someone ready to meet the ambulance.
Okay, so guys, that is how we do CPR. Okay, so that is DRSABCD. Always remind everyone, I will send to Coach Dennis the DRSABCD poster. You can print it out. You can have a copy it into your phone so that it will remind you how we do in case of emergency. Now, everyone, if you have a question, clarification, it is time now. If you're shy, you can just put it down into the chat box, or if you want to open your camera and also to open your microphone, you can also do that.
Guys, feel free to question or ask anything under the sun with regards to um, basic life saving. I'm quite. I'm just out of the blue. I have my question. Okay, why is it that the cows, if they're dead, their muscles are still moving, and we people are, if we're dead, our muscles are not moving already. Okay, so you mentioned that if you're if you're dead and if you don't have breathing, so your mind and heart is not moving anymore. Yeah. Uh, is it possible that our muscles are still moving while the heart is basically dead and the mind is basically dead? Can you answer that, Coach Mark? Hello, Coach Mark. Coach Mark. Guys, can you hear me?
We heard your question, Dennis. He went unmuted. I don't know the answer myself. It's maybe more of a veterinarian question than a human question, but I don't know.
Coach Mark, we cannot hear you. Mark Pablo, you're muted. Coach, you're muted. Coach Mark. Hello, Coach Mark. Okay. Can you unmute your microphone? Okay. Yeah.
What's
The
your question, Coach? Sorry, I have a technical issue.
okay. Yeah. You mentioned that if your heart and your brain, okay, is dead already if you don't have any air going out of your mouth. Okay. So if in the on that situation, does the muscle still move if it's really dead? Because the cows are, the muscles are still moving even though they're already cut into pieces. Is our muscles still moving if it's we are
Yes,
really
Coach.
dead?
Sometimes, yes, Coach. Even we are dead,
You're losing your mic. Hello, Coach. We can't hear you, Coach. You're frozen.
yes, Coach. Yes, Coach.
Yeah, you're
Um,
frozen.
um, to all, even our staff heart. Hello, Coach. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me, Coach?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay. So even our heart stops, or even our brain dead, our muscle can still move.
Coach, are you
Sometimes,
driving?
if you can see, our muscles are still moving.
Coach, you're inside the car. You're driving. Okay, guys, do you have any other questions? Because I think our speaker is having a hard time with this internet. Okay. Um, do you have any more questions? Mark, you're losing. You're losing your signal. Okay. Everybody, guys, we would like to take a picture together. Okay. We would like to see the audience.
Yes,
Okay.
coach. Wait,
You're losing your signal.
coach.
Coach, you're losing your signal. You're frozen.
Okay.
Hello?
Can you hear me already, coach?
Yeah, I can hear you, but your face is frozen.
Wait, coach.
Yeah.
Hello, coach. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
I have a connection problem over here. I really do apologize for that.
Coach. Okay.
Okay.
Everybody, we would
So,
okay. You need to look at the
so can you hear
signal.
me already clear, coach?
Yes. But you're posing,
Okay.
coach.
So again,
Yeah.
when
Coach, don't move. Don't move your okay, Coach Mark. Mark. Okay,
coach,
everybody. We need to cut that because Coach Mark, you're totally losing yourself here. Okay. Coach Mark Routerkus, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Dennis.
We
Did
need
you?
to cut the Mark Pablo. Okay.
Okay.
He's losing. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Did you take
Now,
a picture?
yeah. Okay, guys. Can you take? We'll take a picture now, guys. Open your windows. Mark, just open your window. We're gonna be taking a picture.
And then if you go to the gallery view at the top, everybody, you could watch everybody else's face.
Okay. Everybody, we would like to take a picture now. Okay, all together. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Again. Mark, can you take a picture on other side? There are two groups.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got some.
Okay.
Does
Okay, guys. Yeah, Mark, you can go first. Yeah.
I I had a couple stories. Oh, one time I taught the CPR course, and then one of my students came back to me some weeks later, and she actually went to the beach on a vacation, and there was a guy, an older guy that had a heart attack, and she gave CPR. Made me feel very proud that she was able to be at the beach among a bunch of strangers and was giving CPR and trying to take care of the gentleman and asking for help. Is there anybody here that's a nurse? She was saying, and is there anybody here as a doctor? Is there anybody here as a veterinarian? And she was trying to get other people that were starting to watch to assist her because it's a difficult job. But the other thing that we have here in the United States is we have a mask. And all the lifeguards carry those. And then in the video, it was showing, lips to lips. And we generally have like a barrier or a mask so that you're able to breathe through that mask. Or the better thing is to have they call it a BMV, a bag valve monitor, so that you're able to squeeze and it comes out. So, yeah, and I definitely have one on my desk. I have one in my car. I have one in my swim bag. So yeah, it's really nice to be able to have, gloves, so that if there's a bleeding or a bad you know vomit or fluids, you'll be able to put gloves on and maybe would protect yourself, and also have a mask so that you could provide assistance, but you wouldn't be necessarily as exposed to the transfer of blood-borne pathogens. Hepatitis was one that would come to mind. But yeah, so has anybody here ever done CPR or had to do a CPR on a person? You have? If you want to share a story, you could unmute and tell us what happened with your experience, because it doesn't always go perfectly.
Okay, Coach Mark, there is a question from Miguel. Coach, if it is a male and a female who needs CPR is a female, are there are specific guidelines should we follow? Guys, if in medical field, no matter what is your gender is, there is no discriminancy. Okay, please do the right thing. If what is the standard, that is the standard. If you do put here at the chest, you put it to the chest. If we do expose the chest, we do expose the chest. Okay, so just to secure the privacy of your patient. If there are too many people inside the swimming pool, inside the sports center, okay, cover your patient, okay, with your staff, okay, cover them or put them to a private place and you do CPR, okay. So we
Uh,
have no really, guidelines for that.
just to support, okay, what the speaker said, with regards to opening the chest of a female, okay. There are videos, okay, that when when they tried to do the CPR or trying to do life saving, okay, there are videos already that they really open the chest of the female, okay. So if it's a life threatening, guys, it's you cannot think about the situation of the the humiliation or whatsoever. You're trying to save a person, okay. Yeah. Okay, coach, do you have any
Okay, yeah.
questions? Do you have any more questions, guys? You want to add more, coach?
It's okay in the coach. It's okay. It's already okay.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, okay, we would like to say thank you to our speaker, and we don't have the right words to say thank you. Okay, guys, before you can get your certificate, I want you to take a photo that you are inside this group chat, this seminar. Take a photo now. Okay, take a photo that you are actually part of this seminar, and please take a photo of the attendees that you are part of the attendees there. Okay, take a photo now. Okay, because no, if you don't have a photo, okay, it only shows that you are not supposed to be given a certificate. Okay, so any more questions or any more, hey guys, you're gonna be getting the photo, then send it to me if it only if you're getting this certificate already. Okay, by the way, there are three Eric and two Frederick. Okay, please verify yourself. The three Erics and the two Fredericks, okay, be sure that you have a photo that represents yourself. Okay, please, thank you. Any more questions or any more suggestions or any more things that you want to say? Coach Mark, you want to say something?
I just wanted to show our little mask that we have here. I keep it in our fanny pack, and I do have a little video. It goes. There's a TV show in the United States called The Office, and they had
a training. It's sort of humorous, and it could be just for the very end if we're all complete. But I think we should be adjourned, except for if you want to watch this humorous video.
You can show it as
Say again.
you can show it as coach.
Okay.
ABC, okay? And that stands for airway, breathing, and circulation.
Okay, you know what? That could be a little confusing because in sales, ABC means always be closing.
This is a farce. I should be teaching this course.
Shut it, shut it.
We found ourselves on the less prepared side of things when Stanley.
I'm going to stop it for a minute. This is humor, so it's all a joke. This is a very popular show. It's a little bit older, but if you have a sense of humor, I'm going to keep playing. And have a good, safe time. Hopefully you never have to give CPR and you're always being preventative, but hopefully you're prepared. Thanks for being here, everybody.
Stanley had when his heart went berserk. And I knew exactly what to do, but in a much more real sense, I had no idea what to do. So I thought we should have a CPR training class. And of course you can't get the practice dummy unless the instructor comes along with it. Red Cross, racket.
I can't keep doing this forever.
It's in 20 seconds.
Call it.
Would you like to try next?
Absolutely, I would not.
You know who I really think should go? Stanley.
Oh, I don't know.
It's not a good idea, Michael. He needs to rest.
No rest for the sick. We are not always going to be there to coddle your heart back when it disappears to be working. What are you going to do if you're by yourself and your heart stops?
I would die.
And you're okay with that?
I'm okay with the logic of it.
No. Come on, get up. Let's do this.
Yes, I had a heart attack. I would quit, but I'm too old to find another job. And I don't have enough saved to retire. I feel like I'm working in my own casket.
Come on, Stanley. You're losing you. You're losing you. Do it.
Michael.
This is you we're talking about.
Michael.
Okay. I'll show them. Here we go. All right.
So, assessing the situation, are they breathing?
No, Rose, they are not breathing. And they have no arms or legs.
No, that's not part of it.
Where are they? You know what? If we come across somebody with no arms or legs, do we bother resuscitating them? I mean, what kind of quality of life do we have there?
I would want to live with no legs.
How about no arms? No arms or legs is basically how you exist right now, Kevin. You don't do anything.
All right, well, let's get back to it, because you're losing them. Okay, too fast. Everyone, we need to pump at a pace of 100 beats per minute.
Oh, okay. That's hard to keep track. How many is that per hour?
How's that going to help you?
I will divide and then count to it.
Right.
Okay, well, a good trick is to pump to the tune of Staying Alive by the Bee Gees. Do you know that song?
Yes, I do. I love that song. First I was afraid, I was petrified.
No, it's staying alive,
Okay.
staying alive.
You were in the parking lot earlier. That's how I know you.
Staying alive, staying alive.
Staying alive, staying alive. You can't tell by the way I use my walk. I'm a woman's man, no time to talk. Words it loud, women warm, been kicked around since I was born. Well, it's all right, it's okay. You can look the other way. Let it go, let it go.
Staying alive, staying alive.
Yeah, okay, you didn't maintain 100 beats per minute, and the ambulance didn't arrive because nobody called 911. So you lost him.
Okay, he's dead. Anyone know what we do next? Anybody? Rose?
I have no idea.
Anyone else?
We bury him.
Wrong. Check for an organ donor card. If he has one, we only have minutes to harvest.
He has no wallet. I checked.
He is an organ donor.
He is? Yeah. Give me some ice in a styrofoam bucket. Here we go. We search for the organs. Where's the heart? The precious heart.
I'm not feeling well. I need to sit down.
Stanley.
Are you okay?
Oh my God.
At ease.
Oh my God.
Can you tell me why you had to
cut the face off the dummy. I didn't think it was very realistic in the movie, and it turns out it's pretty realistic. We had to pay for it. It cost us $3,500.
$5,300 for a dummy? Wow. Okay, look, David, this is why we have training. We start with the dummy, and we learn from our mistakes, and now Dwight knows not to cut the face off of a real person.
Okay, guys, the Stay Alive song is really a help for us to uh to help us in the sense of the sequence of pushing the heart. Okay, the compression is stay alive. And also there's another song, the Happy Birthday, is also help us for the rhythm of our compression. But please, guys, do not sing it while you are doing CPR. Don't sing the I'm alive. You just put into your head, or the Happy Birthday, just put into your head. Okay, it is really funny if you do CPR and then you say Happy Birthday to you, Happy Birthday. Okay, please just put it into your head to help you remind the rhythm of how we compress our patient. Okay.
Okay. Hey guys, we would like to say thank you to our speaker. Okay, and thank you for attending, everybody. We have 70 attendees today. Okay, and it's a record breaker. Okay, thank you so much. And we would like to, as coaches, what is the most important first aid skills we should master? Oh, what as coaches, what is the most important first aid skill that we should master? That's another question. Mark,
Yes, coach. Sorry.
as coaches, what is the most important first aid skill that we should master?
The skill as a first aider and also as a coaches, if to determine the first aid skill that we need is really how we determine the differences of each injury. Okay, sometimes um we misdiagnose or we mistreat the injury because we don't know what is the injury happening to our athletes. Okay, so, do
Okay.
I answer? Yes, coach. So the determination, you need the skill. You need to learn the skill how you determine the differences of each injury.
Okay, okay. Okay, everybody. We would like to say thank you, and we'll wrap up the session for today. Okay. Is there anybody who wants to say more? Okay. Happy birthday, Wild CPR. He's hilarious. Okay. Yeah, yeah. I understand. All right, guys. Thank you. And we wish you the best for tomorrow, Sunday. We wish you the best Sunday. And we are thankful for your attendance for today. And again, we would like to see you again next week. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Coach Dennis.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think I'll replay the first video, and then you guys can all be dismissed.
Water,
Yeah, it's
vital
good
to
out
our
to.
daily lives. It gives us life. It transports us. It's a playground for sports and activities. But water always deserves our respect. Without warning, it can suddenly and silently take a life. Drowning is the process of respiratory impairment caused by immersion in liquid. Once started, death or serious injury is the only outcome if the event is not stopped within minutes. 23,000 people fatally drown in the WHO European region each year. 63 people every day, 3 people every hour. In so many ways, drowning is both a silent and a hidden killer. But for those who survive, The respiratory impairment can result in serious and lifelong brain injuries. Drowning has a significant impact across different age groups. It is the second leading cause of fatalities in children aged 5 to 14. 3 of every 4 people drowned is aged over 30. 1 in 4 is aged over 60. In terms of gender, 4 times as many males drown compared to females. So how do we prevent drowning? The World Health Organization has published recommendations on a range of different actions that countries, governments, communities, families, and individuals can take. Many drownings occur when children inadvertently fall into water. To protect these children, we must restrict access to water through the use of barriers. Whatever the aquatic environment, a child can drown in seconds. Therefore, parents and caregivers must be aware of the vulnerability of children and provide constant, uninterrupted, responsible supervision. From school-going age onwards, everyone can be taught survival swimming skills. These skills are not intended to create Olympic champions, but rather to give children and adults the confidence and the ability to get themselves to safety if they unintentionally fall in the water. Swimming skills are also highly valuable as a healthy physical activity. Lifeguards and bystanders can be trained to rescue and resuscitate drowning victims. However, a simple rule must be remembered. Your own personal safety comes first. The only thing worse than one person drowning is for 2 or more persons to drown trying to rescue another. Life jackets and other certified personal flotation devices save lives. Their correct use in water transport and water recreation must be mandated and promoted. Alcohol is a major risk factor in drowning deaths and aquatic injuries. Legislation must restrict the use of alcohol in water transport and recreational water settings. Whilst rare events, water transport or environmental disasters such as a ferry capsize or a flood can result in huge numbers of drowning victims. Setting and enforcing regulations is crucial to safe water transport, and the broadcast of emergency warnings to the population of an impending flood can give people the time to get to safe ground. The causes of and contributors to drowning are many, and drowning prevention is just as interdisciplinary. To be effective, all stakeholders should work together to develop and implement a strategic plan that is relevant to how people drown in your community. No matter the water environment, inland or coastal, cold or warm, no matter the water activity, occupational or recreational, no matter the risk, alcohol, beach, boat, or bath, no one has to drown, not on our watch.
Welcome to Heavy or Not, episode number 87. It's a report about safe sport in the USA from a number of different coaches. The numbers are startling.
We're diving deep into a massive survey that gives us a real look into the state of coaching. We're going to explore the highs, the lows, and what it all tells us about the future of sports. Because this survey of over 3,400 coaches immediately hits you with this huge paradox. It's this wild mix of absolute love for the job and just total crushing burnout. So first, let's talk about the good stuff. And it's really good. A whopping 91.9% of coaches, that's more than 9 out of 10, say that coaching has had a positive impact on their lives. They really genuinely love what they do. But then, at the very same time, almost 85% of them say they've felt burned out by their job in just the last 5 years. Loving something that is also completely exhausting you. So what gives? How can both of these things be true? This tells us it's not just about the long hours. There's something deeper happening in the culture of coaching that we really need to get to the bottom of. To start to unpack this, we've got to look at how coaches feel about the safety culture in their own organizations. Are they being set up to succeed, or are they being put in impossible situations? Coaches believe their organizations prioritize their athletes' well-being over winning, that's the first bar, but when you ask about their own well-being, oof, that number drops way down. The message feels pretty clear. Take care of the players, but the coaches, they're on their own. And here's another huge disconnect. Check this out. Almost every coach, nearly 96%, is confident they know exactly what to do if an athlete is harmed. But regular, proactive conversations about preventing harm in the first place, only about a half of them are having those. It seems like the system is set up to be reactive, not proactive. This kind of environment puts coaches in a really difficult position. They're not just mentors. They are also witnesses to some pretty troubling stuff. And way too often, they end up becoming targets themselves. Almost half of all coaches have seen another coach scream at an athlete in a way that was actually frightening, and about a third have seen coaches call an athlete an insulting name or swear at them for a mistake. That's a tough environment to work in day after day. And it's not just about what they witness, it's what happens to them directly. Nearly half have been verbally harassed. And where does most of that harassment come from? Well, mostly from parents, and, pretty sadly, from other coaches. So you have to ask, is everyone having the same rough experience? The data is crystal clear on this one. Absolutely not. This burden is not being shared equally at all. In fact, when you start to break down the numbers by gender, by race, and by disability, you start to see these really troubling gaps. A very different and often much harder reality emerges for certain groups. Let's start with gender. Female coaches are feeling burned out and thinking about quitting at way higher rates than men. And that's not just a number on a page. That's a real loss of talent and perspective from the world of coaching. And the gap gets even wider for coaches with disabilities. They are nearly 3 times more likely to fear that an athlete would actually be punished for reporting abuse. That speaks volumes about their faith in the system to do the right thing. Look at this breakdown by race. For white coaches, only a very small percentage fear retaliation. But for Asian and Black coaches, that number skyrockets to almost 1 in 4. It's so clear that the trust in a fair and just system just isn't there for everyone. Now, for all these tough stats, this is not a story without some hope. Because the coaches themselves, the ones right there in the thick of it, they have a playbook for how to make things better. So what do they say needs to change? Their answers are pretty straightforward. Number 1, better leadership and accountability from the top down. Number 2, and this is a huge one, they need real support in dealing with parent behavior. And number 3, more access to training and educational resources. Let's just double-click on that second point because it's so important. The issue with parents came up over and over and over again in this survey. It was a top reason for burnout, a top reason for quitting, a top challenge to creating a safe environment. It's a massive theme. And this one quote from a coach in the survey, wow, it just says it all.
Parents and guardians, they created tension, they instilled distrust, and they were worse than children.
It's a pretty stark reminder that building a healthy sports culture isn't just on the coaches. It's on everyone. It's on the organizations, the fans, the parents. Which really leaves us with a big question to chew on. In this whole ecosystem, what role are we playing?
You'll be able to get the full report, a PDF, in the show notes. It's part of a course that the International Swim Coaches is providing, along with Barry Healy of BC Canada, called CYA. It's at read.swimiska.org. So the U.S. Center on Safe Sport released a National Coaches Survey report, and this covered a lot of swim coaches, but there were coaches from many other disciplines as well. But the general coaching experiences have positive impact, there's burnout and retention issues, and reasons for leaving the sport. Of course, coaches have high life satisfaction and long-term involvement plans. But the burnout and retention one is what always captures our attention, that 84.6% felt burned out. 64.8% consider quitting, and there's higher rates of burnout and retention among female coaches. And the reasons for leaving, number 1 is retirement and aging. And I think we got to do a lot more to engage our retired population of coaches. Another reason for lack of organizational support, family needs and challenges with parents are high on the list as well for why one would leave coaching. So in the safety culture and reporting, there's organizational perceptions, barriers to safety, and reporting beliefs. Within organizational perceptions, there's comfort-raising safety concerns. There's well-being versus winning priority, and then there's clear reporting guidance. As to barriers for safety, parental lack of understanding, there's organizational mistrust and impractical policies. As to reporting beliefs, the beliefs athletes are supported, fear of retaliation, especially among the Asian and Black coaches, and there's a status of accused as a factor. Yeah, that first you're accused, and then you got to prove your innocence, and boy, that's hard to do after a while. So in abuse prevention and training, there's training participation, which is a plus 90% completion rate. So coaches are crossing the T's and dotting the I's. There's safe sport core training, and there are higher rates for NGBs that are affiliate. And then in the safety roles, there's athlete safety and safeguarding roles, and then there's a compliance chair, and that's the shield. Harmful behaviors and mistreatments, there are boundary violations, coaches a target, and coaches as former athletes. So unsolicited hugs, shouting and belittling, it's a big problem. And then private messaging athletes, some of these boundary violations. So coaches a target, there's verbal harassment, parents and coaches, and then there's identity-based discrimination and sexual harassment. And coaches as former athletes, 42.5% emotional abuse history, and 14.9% there's a physical abuse history. Wow. Okay, future recommendations. We need meaningful, practical education. We need better parental accountability. We need increased financial, emotional support, and trauma-informed training updates. Thanks for your work, Safe Sport. We've got a lot to do. The podcast, Heavy or Not, uses characters and many voices within our episodes. And one of the mainstays of the program is artificial intelligence, or AI. Under no circumstances will we use AI to make believe the comments are coming from a real person.
Our new TV show, Heavy or Not, has a deep dive associated podcast too. Stay in touch so we can include your wisdom in these endeavors. Sign up at SwimI. S-C